The 29th edition of the SEA Games gets its first whistle today, 5 days ahead of the opening ceremony. It's Kuala Lumpur, the host of these games, and netball and football see action on the first official day of competition. Welcome to the Selayang Municipal Council Stadium for the first football game of the games. Group A featured and group favorites Myanmar taking on Singapore. One country hoping for regurgitation, one hoping for redemption. From the result of 2015, Myanmar finished runners-up and host Singapore were knocked out of the group stages by the same team they're eyeballing today. It's a return as well to the city where SEA Games was made an under-21 sport some 16 years ago in 2001, SEA Games football. Back then, Singapore were also grouped with Myanmar and were knocked out by the Junior Angels, losing 2-1. In fact, Myanmar are more than familiar foes. Singapore have faced them more times than any other country in group stages of the SEA Games. This, their 16th meeting in the early stages of the football competition.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome the teams of Myanmar and Singapore.
The Young Lions against the Young Angels, head-to-head record through the years. They played 18 times and nothing separates as we have a look at the Singapore contingent. Mark Che on the left of your screen, one of the deputy chef de missions up for the SEA Games this year in KL. 7 apiece they've won, 4 draws between these two sides. Singapore have scored more goals against Myanmar than any other country in SEA Games football history, but they've also conceded more goals against Myanmar than any other country. 27 scored, 32 conceded. In fact, the first 5 matches, Singapore were winless against Myanmar, and then they went on an 8 unbeaten run before football turned its head onto under-23s in 2001. And since then, Myanmar have had the better record, culminating, of course, in that 2-1 victory at the last SEA Games on home soil in Singapore. Faris Ramli scored our only goal that day from the penalty spot. Nailin Tun and Tay Ko Ko scoring the goals for Myanmar. None of those players featured in this year's games. It's a Singapore squad that is young and fiery and hopefully will be courageous enough as we have a look at HAMI SYAHIN, one of those players, number 14, as diminutive as it gets but as combative as it gets, against a Myanmar side that feature 8 in the starting 11 that played at the 2015 Under-20 World Cup Finals, the first major tournaments that Myanmar have qualified for. IRFAN FANDI is the captain of the side, having had captain Sharin Sabarin bench for this match and also robbed off the services of Adam Swandi. So the national anthems of both sides, and then football will get its first whistle for the 2017 Southeast Asian Games.
Mari kita raya Singapura sama-sama menuju bahagia. Cita-cita kita yang mulia, berjaya Singapura. Marilah kita bersatu dengan semangat yang baru. Semua kita bersatu, majulah Singapura, majulah Singapura. Marilah kita bersatu dengan semangat yang baru. Semua kita bersatu, majulah Singapura, majulah Singapura.
Well, the Myanmar supporters are as faithful and loyal as you get anywhere in this region, and they will make themselves heard on the pitch. Singapore experienced it themselves back in 2015 and hosting it, and Myanmar supporters made a real din, and they are known to make their territory theirs, and they'll make this as intimidating as possible for the Singapore Young Lions. The Young Angels are hot favourites and group favourites alongside Malaysia against Singapore, who will need to stay alive in the competition, having to face Malaysia a couple of days later. The referee comes from Cambodia, Chen Sin Chuan, and assistant referees, I believe countries might not be right side by side with it, but this is the Singapore side that have 8 players that featured against 8 players that featured against Myanmar the last time these sides met in the under-23 events. Myanmar starting lineup, as I said, 8 from the under-20 World Cup finals, and just 2 players that did not play against Singapore when they won by 2-0 just a couple of months back in the AFC under-23 qualifiers. And those 2 players are goalkeeper Sansak Nang and MUHAIMIN, the right full-back. Otherwise, it's almost the same lineup to that beat Singapore 2-0 in that tempestuous affair, which saw Singapore goalkeeper ZHARFAN ROHAIZAD sent off in that fixture. ZHARFAN is starting in this match, and alongside him, AMIRUL ADLI gets the nod ahead of captain Sharin Sabrin to partner FANDI in the centre of defence. Both of them the only players that featured in the last SEA Games in 2015. Adam Swandi is named on the bench, although I don't think he'll be fit enough to be called upon. Remember, damaging ankle ligaments the last time he played for his club side Home United just a couple of days ago in the AFC Cup. AUNG Situ is the Myanmar captain to your left. IRFAN FANDI, Singapore captain for the night. He did come on in the second half against Myanmar. Gerd Zeiser is the coach of the Myanmar national team and also the under-22 coach heading to the SEA Games. Very popular German, of course, took the 19s to their first ever major World Cup tournament in 2015, and he took over from Radi Avramovic just last year in October and led the national side to the Suzuki Cup as well, out of which 3 of the players in the starting 11 today played in that tournament. Singapore coached by Richard Tardy, a coach who himself has taken a national team to the FIFA Under-17 World Cup, and that was Rwanda back in 2011. Assistant, of course, to Gérard Houllier, the French youth sides, and also coach of the Lebanese national side from 2002 to 2003. So we're all set and ready to get underway. Football at the Southeast Asian Games in 2017 in KL. It's the 6th time that Malaysia have hosted the SEA Games, and every time they played host, Singapore haven't fared too well on Malaysian soil in the SEA Games. In fact, they were winless in their first 6 matches. They lost all 6. As we have a look at striker in chief IKHSAN Fandi, who needs to get their goals going if Singapore are going to have any hope of surviving in this tournament. But he needs service up front too. And it's no use just relying on IKHSAN Fandi with his goal-scoring prowess to knock in those goals up front if they're not going to give him the ball soon enough. Well, they go right for the jugular and kick off straight away by putting the ball right into the Myanmar defensive third. HAIQAL Paisha has been known to score goals at youth levels as well, playing for the national side. There's a Myanmar side. Just watch for their pressing, the way that they make themselves so very compact and so very hard to beat. MUHAIMIN, right fullback, who didn't play in those matches at the under-23 qualifiers, out due to injury. Number 11 is LWIN, big strapping central midfielder, loves to go up front, support the strike force as soon as possible. There we go again, that pretty football being played very early, and Singapore had to concede a very early corner, much to the delight of the Myanmar fans. RUSYAIDI Salime taking no chances at all, heading that one out. It's an early opportunity for Myanmar to get going in this tournament. Immediately, Tik Ong and Tet Ong, 2 centre-backs who have been partnered with each other through the youth levels, through the years, having played side by side, dovetailing each other at the Under-20 World Cup. They're up there, hoping to strike on this. So to Ong Kong Man, who got into that skirmish with ZHARFAN ROHAIZAD. Well, they tried to be a little too tricky and too clever then. Not the best of clearances. LWIN takes over. That's a very good challenge being thrown in, but they can't give the ball away just like that. Singapore, Situong. Well, he tried to continue his great goal scoring from the last SEA Games. It's a very ponderous start at the moment by Singapore. It's still early stages, but nerves taking over the young lions for the opening exchanges. They just have to settle down a lot more. More importantly, it's not just a steal that they need to show in the middle of defense. It's some bravery when they have possession of the ball. Chi Lwin, coach of the Myanmar side at the 2015 edition of the SEA Games. He is the assistant coach to ZHAIZA in this tournament. Situong, who is as versatile a player as you get, can play up front. There is Tardy. He wasn't too happy with the side's training sessions just a couple of days ago. There you go. Pitch a little cut up and holding the ball up. That's where they need to be a lot braver in trying to get to the ball. IKHSAN Fandi will chase after this. Goalkeeper almost slipped as he tried to clear it. Sunset 9. And no nonsense to the end, but IKHSAN chasing down the lost cause almost made something out of it. It's a surprise choice, Sunset Neng, coming into this match. Well taken over by Situong. Here is LWIN starting off another Myanmarese attack. This time they got themselves into a real muddle before coming out of it. Lang Bobo. And now here is the star player, Ong Tu. What a player this guy is. He's as dazzling as you get, as buttery as you get on the ball. Just as quickly though, Singapore closed down well enough. Elias Lee doing his defensive duties. Referees allowed play to go on, knowing that the pitch is really being a real nuisance here and misbehaving. Here is Situong. Ong Tu side by side with him, trying to work with the 1-2. Almost got it right. RUSYAIDI is there to tow it out for another corner. This is a very promising start by the Myanmaris though. They've shown up and are showing us why they are hot favorites in this match. Their 110th football game in SEA Games history. Hoping to score their 203rd goal. ZHARFAN not troubled as yet. This one is swung right in. Singapore should win most of the headers. They've got a big, powerful side, especially at the back with IRFAN and AMIRUL ADLI. Lang Bobo scored one of the goals, the second goal against Singapore at those under-23 qualifiers. It's a very nervous start for this man, RUSYAIDI Salim. LWIN and Gang seem to be targeting the Singapore right full-back in the opening exchanges. A lot of it's also down to the fact that they might look at Ong as the stronger of their two attackers down the left-hand side. They do have the flying Yan Nang U on the right-hand side if they need to call upon him. That's what I mean by being a little braver on the ball. HAMI SYAHIN still keeping it in play, does superbly well. Not the best of exchanges in terms of the passes in the end by ILLYAS Lee. And Joshua Pereira, I should say. This is ILLYAS Lee. Happy to go all the way back to AMIRUL, and then IRFAN. Just turned 18 yesterday. It's already a full-fledged Singapore international. HAIQAL Paisha pitch helping it as well, and then I'm sure HAIQAL's won the corner, and that's very well done. If Singapore are going to profit, and set-piece situations will be key to this. Here's the opportunity for AMIRUL IRFAN to join up with IKHSAN FANDI up front. So after soaking up the early pressure, meaty delivery needed, and an accurate one to those big heads. And after talking up, it was a very poor delivery in the end. Here is Nang U, the aforementioned player who can just fly past you with his burning pace. Had time taken out of it, making sure he didn't go any further was SAZALI. Actually, it was number 14 who came right across HAMI SYAHIN to prevent him from trying to make use of his pace and put on those wheels in his heels. Ong Tu asked to turn, he does likewise. Ong Tu trying to seize the opportunity and the angles in the Singapore defense. It's hung up, it's misjudged, and Mong Luen with the first effort on target after SYAHRUL just totally misjudged the flight of this ball. He was looking on the air and then realized, oh my goodness, I'm not going to get this. Mong Luen says thank you very much and planted the header right into the body of ZHARFAN. Good work by the goalkeeper because he was very alert. Let's give him credit for that. The last thing goalkeeper want to do is to be beaten at the near post. He guarded it with all the jealousy in the world. But it's all Myanmar in the opening 7 minutes. They've had firm control of the game. They've had firm control of the ball. They're slowly getting the cadence right in terms of their passing movement and getting more used to this pitch as the game wears on. Singapore will have to soak this and will have to take advantage of opportunities they get to strike. Ong Tu has broken clear. Still Ong Tu. IRFAN Fandi did the right thing because he knew Ong Tu was always going to cut back to his right foot. Great work by IRFAN. Here we go. Give him the space to attack the byline if he wants to. He knew all along that Ong Tu is always going to favor that right foot of his. He just covered the angle, but gives away another corner. The third of the match now for Myanmar. And we're almost reaching the 8-minute mark. ZHARFAN's already had one save to make. Ong, who's taken the first two corners, relieves corner-taking responsibilities. They go short yet again, trying to work it around, and it's a handball. Rather unfortunate perhaps. HAMI SYAHIN called up for that by the referee. Oh, they have a couple of free kick takers here that can really hurt you, Myanmar. Lang Bobo is one of those. Ong Tu's got as cultured a right foot as anybody else in Southeast Asia. And let's not forget as well Mong Luen. If you're looking for the pile driver, he can provide that. But Ong Tu stands behind this. the Myanmar's League Player of the Year in 2015 and 2016. Hailing from Yadanaborn, not just scoring against Singapore at the under-23 qualifiers recently, but scoring for his club side against Home United. Well, he goes for power and shot. That searing pace just kept rising and rising in the end. And this certainly is a player to watch for the SEA Games. Touted as one of those players that'll take this tournament at the scruff of its neck and become one of the players of the tournament. Pereira and gang have survived almost 10 minutes of intense pressure from Myanmar, and they haven't conceded. That's the good news. Trying to launch the ball up as soon as possible and get IKHSAN involved. Here is IKHSAN. Well, we needed HAIQAL to actually make the run across to get onto that, but great work by IKHSAN to actually bully THIHA off the ball. Make sure that Singapore keep possession. Perhaps the biggest of the Myanmarese players, THIHA alongside LWIN. The only two players who provide real height in this Myanmarese side. Throw in for Singapore. And once again the target is IKHSAN. His touch and control was sublime. He's drawn out though. They want him inside the penalty box trying to feed on this cross. They'll have another opportunity with a corner. SYAHRUL SAZALI does enough to hold it up. IKHSAN will be joined by his brother IRFAN and AMIRUL. Better cross needed than the last one. Goalkeeper claimed it comfortably. Good catch. It'll do Satnang's confidence a whole lot of good. Do watch out for these Myanmarese players when they go on the counter-attack. It's a good Zeiser's form of football which suffocates you and at the same time always looking to go 2-on-1 against you in any given situations on the pitch. At least Singapore are trying to rent some space now in the Myanmarese half, which is good news. We didn't see that in the opening 10 minutes. HAMI with the latest free kick. Launched right in, the header is there. Not enough power behind it. Good enough defending by THIHA to make sure that IKHSAN just couldn't get a lot more sugar behind that header. But it's an effort on target, and our two efforts on target so far in this game have come from headers, both easily cradled by the goalkeeper. Crossfield pass, it's not going to find Meng U, despite the fact that Meng U certainly has the pace. KAUNG it is. Little and large forward line of KAUNG and AUNG. KAUNG did trouble the Singapore defensive lineup the last time they played. In fact, he got into that skirmish with goalkeeper ZHARFAN ROHAIZAD, which resulted in both of them being sent off. It was a straight red for ZHARFAN and a second yellow for KAUNG in that match, which really turned up the temperature after that's happened for the final 20 minutes of the game. This is great work by HAMI Shayan. Very good work indeed by the diminutive forward, and a superb ball played inside for HAIQAL. Still HAIQAL, holding on well enough to the ball, but they crowded out of it, and Myanmar somehow finding the break on. Great vision to look for C2, is bullied off the ball. And then again, unfairly, says the referee. Well, HAIQAL Paisha certainly has pace to burn if he wants to. He's got a goal-scoring nose as well in these youth tournaments. So we have a look at C2 Wong being hustled off the ball unfairly by MUHAIMIN SUHAIMI. MUHAIMIN, all four players at the back. MUHAIMIN, THIHA and THIHA Zor featured at the Under-20 World Cup. So you talk about chemistry and knowing each other's games. Those four at the back from Myanmar have played together at all levels, the youth, and it certainly does help. RUSYAIDI Salime. Much quieter last few minutes for RUSYAIDI, which is a welcome relief. No nonsense by IRFAN as he goes safety first. ROHAIZAD's kick's a very good one. It's well taken down as well and bravely done by SAZALI. Here is HEIQAL. On the overlap is SYAHRUL trying to work something out with HEIQAL. Well, SYAHRUL's abandoned his position at left full back, and Myanmar trying to take advantage of this right now. It's a very high line that's played out by AMIRUL and IRFAN. And a courageous tackle in the end, tigerish as it is by Joshua Pereira, just to help out ILLYAS Lee, who was doing the covering, making sure that Ong Tu thought twice before going on another one of those mazy runs of his. Here is AMIRUL ADLI, who was featured at the 2014 Suzuki Cup and actually played against Malaysia in that match. Ong using Bobo. Ong. Ong. Always ready to run forward is THIHA. HEIN Tiazo. Another one of those players, one of 3 featured from the last SEA Games in 2015. Shackled well enough by RUSYAIDI. Only out for a Myanmarese throw yet again. The referee is taking a very close look at it and was in close proximity enough not to blow the whistle and call for the foul. And Singapore somehow managed to win the throw out of it. At least they're closing down the angles and closing down any sort of corridors for the Myanmarese forwards, Kongman and Ong Tu, to run inside those channels. So it's obstinate enough. It's tight at the back. That is good news. They managed to do that. IKHSAN's managed to get a header on target. That should give the Lions some confidence after a very nervy start of the opening exchanges. That's great skill by Ong Tu. Superb skill. See taken out of it. IRFAN FANDI unyielding in that challenge, but gives the ball away once again to Bobo. Cross was good enough, but so too was the defending. Totally focused. Absolutely brilliant from AMIRUL. MUHAIMIN, clever ball to IKHSAN. Just a little touch too heavy that time from IKHSAN FANDI. Here they come again with Ong. Too heavy with that pass. Ong. Kongman. They have got options on the bench, especially in Tan Peng. And Tan Peng was the starting choice at the Under-20 World Cup, playing side by side with Ong Tu. Yet again, IKHSAN FANDI with a sublime touch to bring that one down under control. But once again, with no support, just crowded out very quickly. One of a couple of brothers in this squad, the FANDI brothers and the SUHAIMI brothers. THIHA Ong. AMIRUL happy to just take that one down easily and start up another attack. The tackle inside was a very good one. He diced with danger then. Tiazo, but got away with it. Ong Tu. See what he does, Ong Tu. He always drops deep. He wants to get the ball and wants to get into the action as much as possible. It's just not a goal-scoring exploit that he brings to the team, but also an ability to look up and spot a man in the box. Cross was very disappointing that time by LWIN. Got back hard enough and fast enough to get the ball away. Challenge this time, the second time around, was good enough. Case of incommunicado momentarily at the back. SYAHRUL SAZALI escapes with that hesitance in clearance. Well, I can see IRFAN FANDI is waving his arms and telling those guys to keep their chins up. Despite all these loose passes that go on in the match, players just looking around and feeling sorry for themselves. IRFAN's saying, look, let's stay in this. They are more than in it. Still 0-0. And Myanmar have forced their fourth corner. This time AUNG returns for corner responsibilities. Are they going short again? Yes, they are. AUNG 2 does the next best thing, just to win another corner. Well, they've done well enough to shut him out. We haven't seen much of NAING yet, flying down the flanks. So they have to be very happy with the start that they've made, the Young Lions, and at least curbing out the dangers from Myanmar. KAUNG, a centre forward, hasn't been in action at all, and the high balls have been dealt with pretty easily. The shot does come in, repelled well enough by ILLYAS, and finally cleared by HAMI. Well done by THIHA just to keep the impetus of the attack alive. AUNG 2, what a turn that one was by AUNG 2. Too many players in front of him in the end, and a pitch not conducive enough to his slippery dribbling abilities. It's HEIQAL turning around to his teammate and saying, look, we hardly have the ball. By the time we get hold of it, let's take some time. Let us breathe a little bit, because the Myanmaris are doing their version of football asphyxiation, strangling everything out of the Singapore life whenever they have possession of the ball. That is what they do best. And when they spring up, it's always danger. AMIRUL's pace is tested. Was he fouled by KAUNG? The assistant referee says no. KAUNG keeps it in play. They've gone far. Well, is that a goalkeeper's late call, or is it RUSYAIDI not trusting his custodian enough? Because panic just set upon them, almost for no reason. ZHARFAN took some time before he decided to commit himself. By the time he did, it was the right fullback's ball, so he had every right to head that one and head that one out. Goalkeeper coming out late for that, halfway through the first half. Myanmar really forcing the issue. Singapore under siege. The corner on this side certainly favors its left boot of C2. Yet again, a Singapore head gets to the ball, and it's IRFAN. No worries for Myanmar. They go all the way back. They build it up. On the ascendancy. Tails wagging at the moment. But they haven't found the opening goal yet. Oh, once again ROHAIZAD deciding to head that one out under no pressure whatsoever. Well, I wonder whether there's communication going on in the back line at all in the Singapore side, or is it ROHAIZAD just panicking and taking no chances? And sometimes when that happens, you shut your ears off to almost everything around you. It's very disciplined defending by HEIQAL. HAMI, who has done well enough in trying to hold on to the ball, but he's had so very little support. That's another fine example of Myanmar trying to strangle you out of possession of the ball. Whenever you have possession, 3 of 4 of their players just converge down on you and just really hustle you off the ball. No chance whatsoever to dwell on it at any given minute. NAING, AUNG 2, Nengu, LWIN, quick feet, magnificent skill! Should have been the opening goal if not for a splendid reflex save by ZHARFAN ROHAIZAD. IKHSAN having to do it all by himself up front, and in the end there are enough Myanmarese players to get back in time to win the ball back. But that was the opening that Myanmar created, carving opportunity after opportunity until finding a little leak behind the Singapore backline and finding a back door and the pass to the near post. But yet again, great goalkeeping by ZHARFAN. Joshua Pereira asked by IKHSAN to hit it down the flanks and hit it down the channels for him to chase, but he's saying that he was totally crowded out of it and there's no use at all to hitting that ball long if he's going to be the only one up there chasing, because at the moment IKHSAN FANDI has been reduced to isolation all by himself up there against a sea of red, breathing down his neck incessantly. Superb control by MUHAIMIN SUHAIMI. And that's all he can do. Number 7, who was the joint top scorer at the 2010 Youth Olympic Games held in Singapore, MUHAIMIN SUHAIMI, 3 goals in that tournament. RUSYAIDI Salim must be breathing a sigh of relief that he's finally gone across the halfway line into the Myanmarese half, because he's had so much defending to do against Situ Ong and Ong 2. RUSYAIDI, MUHAIMIN trying to take them on, couldn't. THIHA very strong once again. Ong 2, immediately Joshua Pereira came to help out Elias Lee. Great work by the 2 Singapore central midfielders. Is that going to be a throw into Singapore? The answer is yes. RUSYAIDI takes it very quickly. Oh, it's a kick out on MUHAIMIN. The referee comes and might take action here against THIHA, who through the years has had a very poor disciplinary record and might find himself being the first player booked at the SEA Games. It wasn't for that, it was more for this. There we go. Well, it was totally unnecessary because he had everything covered, and that was ill discipline in terms of the lash out. He might have escaped the yellow card, you know. Singapore have a free kick. As I said, set piece situations, lofting the ball in the box might be the best way to go for the young Lions. They have to take advantage of these situations. HAMI, SYAHIN, the architect behind this. Yet again, the FANDI brothers at the far post, trying to attack. That's a lovely delivery. It does fall to IKHSAN, who tries to set up the angle for himself. The shot does come in. They've asked for handball. The referee says play on, and Myanmar do play on because they have the opportunity to break at pace here. Referee finally calls an end to that as IKHSAN comes back and takes one for the team in pulling down MUHAIMIN. Great delivery that one was by HAMI SYAHIN, right into the box. THIHA is the first player booked at these SEA Games, and it's no surprise there for a player who's been sent off so very often in his career. Well, it has been sporadic, but every time young Lions get a delivery right in the penalty box, it sparks uncertainty and some panic in the Myanmarese ranks. They might be outnumbered here. Ong 2 is asked for the free kick. The referee says that you lost control of the ball in the first place, not giving any of it. RUSYAIDI's bombed forward and almost got a nick on Tet Ong, who's asked for the throw, and I think he's going to get it. Showed some good verve there and some lungs just to get himself on the other end of it. I think it's a throw to Singapore, or is it a free kick? It will be a free kick. Well, the pugnacious number 14's last delivery was a real delight, and it's almost from the same angle, with the same players in the box hunting. Defensive work was organized, was very good in front of Satnang, and it gave him enough time to come out and watch the ball all the way and gather. IRFAN FANDI swinging a boot at it, sensing that AUNG was going to run onto it, and the way the pitch has behaved in this game so far, might have held the ball up enough for the number 9 to get himself a goal scoring opportunity. So he's done the next best thing, which is to prevent that run, but he couldn't prevent the corner. ZHARFAN ROHAIZAD, the Singapore hero for the moment, faces yet another corner kick from Myanmar. They're 7th in this game already. Ong Kong Man hasn't seen much action yet. LWIN, he of that power of a right foot, a real rocket, as he's shown through scoring his goals already, decides to leave it for the left peg of Ong. Yet again they go short. A little variation of it, which all goals pear-shaped, and a face-palm moment for Myanmar. Perhaps the only one of the game which hasn't worked out for them in terms of their tactics that they have employed in this game. ZHARFAN ROHAIZAD has kept Singapore in this match with 2 splendid saves, especially the second from Kong Man at the near post. That was very impressive. Free kick to Myanmar. 12 minutes remaining in this first half. Well, they did hold on at 0-0 when they last met at the under-23 AFCs in Myanmar. There was a real din and really a furnace in those stadiums. You can call it half a furnace here at the SYAHRUL. It's still the Myanmarese supporters who've been the louder and the team who played the better football, but still no breakthrough. Something really steely at the back line, led by FANDI, IRFAN FANDI and AMIRUL ADLI. That has really cemented this first half performance from the Singapore side. Grounded by that and a couple of strikes from IKHSAN, one on target and another one blocked off, which they appealed for handball, but it was not forthcoming from the referee. See the pitch holding the ball up yet again. Grass not cut up enough in those situations. The long grass sometimes not helping with a smooth flowing football, especially the way that Myanmar love to play it with their one-touch displays. Pace is on now. IRFAN just managing to get a touch off the ball against AUNG, and that was such a decisive intervention, but the cross was good enough. Here's the chance for C2. It was on target, and with ZHARFAN beaten, AMIRUL was there to save the day. Kept alive. Brilliant strike. AMIRUL. Take a bow for leading that and watching it all the way through. Five goals at the last SEA Games for C2 AUNG, and almost opening his account in 2017. Trying to be a sister now with this corner situation. They've asked for handball twice. Singapore on the counter-attack now. What can they do with this? MUHAIMIN SUHAIMI, has he dwelled on the ball a little too long? He's finally released to RUSYAIDI, who has kept it in play. IKHSAN asks for the ball right in the middle. RUSYAIDI's looking for options. Finds the wrong one in the end. IKHSAN trying to just pilfer it away from THIHA AUNG, but it's Myanmar who come right back. AMIRUL once again tested with his pace and does superbly well, knocking the ball off Kongman for a throw to Singapore. So the two Singapore centre-backs, as you've seen already, can be had for pace, but they haven't been laborious at all. They have been very attentive. Joshua weaving his way around, making space. Pass wasn't good enough. Tried to stay out of the challenge and finally commits one, but there's space opening up now because he's abandoned his position at centre midfield. So Myanmar have got the opportunity to work something out of this. C2 AUNG. Well, it's not the goalkeeper that's been against him in this match. It's the two Singapore centre-backs. First of all, AMIRUL, and then that challenge on. IKHSAN's running all by himself. No one's inside the penalty box waiting for this cross whatsoever. He's got to do it all by himself. Did well against THIHA AUNG, but yet again the cover was there from Teak On. Just combines raw energy and power with a savoir-faire of knocking the ball into the back of the net when given the opportunity. HIKSAN FANDI. There's no use having Hinaba there, as I said, if the delivery is not there. And except for a couple of crosses, he has been starved of service in this game for the moment. RUSYAIDI offside. The moment MUHAIMIN decided to get involved, the assistant referee's flag was always going to go up. RUSYAIDI actually is contemplating on whether to fall down and earn a free kick, at least take his chances on that. That little nip here. There, right there. Almost fell over. That challenge by C2 AUNG. Maybe that might have been the better option. Lengu. Kongman. Oh, it's those two players that clashed at the under-23 championships, which resulted on ZHARFAN being sent off. And what's going to happen here? ZHARFAN's kept his cool a little. Kongman's got himself right up. It was IRFAN who marshaled it, begging for his goalkeeper to claim. ZHARFAN finally did, and Kongman was not going to give in. Holding on at 0-0. Young Lions hoping to spring a surprise as well on the counter-attack. The next win by Singapore will be their 40th ever win in SEA Games football. And it'll be a surprise win too. They can't get their one-touch passing going, but at least the players are showing enough energy to come back in time. Still though, they need to be a lot more protective whenever they have possession of the ball. They're giving it away too easily the moment they gain possession back. LWIN. Help on the outsides from Weining. LWIN goes for the audacious chip, which is not going to work out for him. LWIN, the only player from Hantarabadi in the Myanmar national side, at least the under-23 side. Rishad Tadi will be pretty pleased with how his team have been industrious and been dogged, but still a lot of homework to be done whenever they have possession of the ball, and how they keep it and how they make use of it. MUHAIMIN chasing after another header won by IKHSAN. The assistant referee wasn't going to flag, so THIHA decided to just pump it up, and here's a chance for ROHAIZAD to come forward yet again. ROHAIZAD, MUHAIMIN, IKHSAN's just in front of him. MUHAIMIN still. He's almost running himself into a cul-de-sac here. Was that a free kick? Well, he tried to blast it off him. Almost kept alive by IKHSAN. It's his brother IRFAN who comes in and needs to run back in time now to block this next Myanmar attack. Elias Lee got the claim from the referee, blasting the ball off AUNG 2 for a throw to Singapore. 5 minutes remaining of what has been a fiery first half. IKHSAN strong on the ball. This time Myanmar get their retribution and knock one off IKHSAN for possession to be kept with the Junior Angels. It's a cloudy day in KL, threatening to rain down. The SYAHRUL Stadium, where the pitch has been very heavy. It's been a real pest, especially to the team that want to play the ball on the ground and get their movements going as much as possible. And that team is Myanmar. Neng almost working the 1-2 then with Weimin. Yan Neng will always be remembered as scoring Myanmar's first ever goal in a World Cup competition. It was the under-20s, but still got the opening goal of the game against the USA in a 2-1 defeat. Ong, who missed those World Cups because of injury. RUSYAIDI, we've seen more of him as an offensive force than a defensive one in the last few minutes, which is a good sign for Singapore, as THIHA gets the better once again of MUHAIMIN. Fortuitously gets the clearance right this time, just ahead of ILLYAS. Break is on. Singapore commit their fullbacks. What can Kongman do with this? Trying to work the 1-2 out with AUNG 2. Delightful vision from him. It was impeccable. Just the execution that let him down. Could see what exactly he was trying to do. Floating the ball all the way to the far post, hoping to meet the run of LWIN. Well, he hasn't brought his magic wand with him yet in this first half. AUNG 2. He's tried a couple of tricks, as buttery he has been, but he hasn't been from a different postal code just yet. There's a lot of people expect him to really take these games and light them up. MUHAIMIN trying to turn the headlines on for Singapore himself with that run. SYAHRUL nervously gives it away, so too does Neng Space opening up for ILLYAS, trying to clip it right behind the defense for HAMI Shine to run onto, HEIQAL I should say, Paisha to run onto. Well, he's taking the place of Adam Swandi and trying to be creative director in this match. HAMI Shine. And to be fair to the boy, his deliveries have been good thus far. Myanmar, though, making sure that he doesn't get enough on the ball. The skies have opened up in KL. Goals haven't yet. As Singapore launch another one forward, hoping for IKHSAN to work something with it. Lacking in accuracy into the final minutes of a first 45, dominated by Myanmar as we expected. But the good news is that they've had very few chances and sniffs at the Singapore goal. AMIRUL dovetailing whatever Captain IRFAN has been doing in this game. MUHAIMIN. Could all change in a minute though. Scoring before the half ends. AUNG, who's decided to come forward now. THIHA receiving the ball from AUNG. THIHA. Oh, AUNG is onside and scores the opening goal just before half-time. Myanmar got lucky, but as they say in football, you make your own luck. And AUNG, just like he did at the AFC Under-23 Championships, has got the opening goal of the game against Singapore. Lang Bobo, it was, who decided to take his chances with a shot. He bought the ticket. AUNG won the lottery. Myanmar, just as we said, could all change in a few seconds, have scored seconds into extra time of the first half. Perfect time to score. And all the good work of IRFAN, AMIRUL and ZHARFAN just knocked right down the drain. No thanks to AUNG2's finish, which was clean as a whistle. THIHA, a little overzealous on the part of ILLYAS. But the last thing they need to do right now is to concede another goal before halftime. This should be the last piece of action before the first half comes to a close. Young Lions kept themselves in it and were undone by a wicked deflection, but are saved by their crossbar from going two behind before the break. ZHARFAN could do nothing about this yet again. It was at the far post and it was misjudged by SYAHRUL. Towering header, you have to say, from LWIN. Well, just as they were cursing their luck and saying we've held on enough only to concede just before halftime, they should be looking at the glass half full and saying at least it's not two. AUNG, a player whose goal separates these two sides. Oh, he picked his position behind the defense and waited for a slip through. Instead, it was a shot that took a couple of deflections and made its way to him, and he slipped it under the body of ZHARFAN, who in the first half had made a couple of great saves already, especially one from Kongman. LWIN should have made it 2 before the break, but as it stands, the Junior Angels take the lead against the Young Lions by 1-0 at half-time. Welcome back to the SYAHRUL Municipal Ground here in KL. The 29th Southeast Asian Games kicking off football, and Myanmar 1-0 ahead of Singapore at halftime, with a goal coming late in the first half, courtesy of a strike by AUNG 2. The Young Lions are out and ready to take to the pitch all over again and do battle against a side that they would probably consider their bogey team, especially at under 23 level. 5 times they've met in group stages, and only once did Singapore get into the semi-finals. That came in 2009. Well, KL hasn't really been a happy hunting ground for Singapore in terms of football results in the SEA Games. In fact, they lost their first six matches in Malaysia in the SEA Games before finally winning one in 1989, and that was against, you guessed it, Myanmar by 4-0. Hasnim Harun, V Sundramuthi, Hazali Nasiron and Fandi Ahmad, the goal scorers that day. Every time they played in KL in the SEA Games, they have met Myanmar, and that was their only winning occasion. For the Myanmaris, Malaysia has been a great home ground for them when it comes to SEA Games football. They won it in 65, 71, and then finished third in 77 and 2001 the last time the SEA Games were held here. And here they are on the verge of putting one foot into the semi-finals, unless something calamitous happens in their matches against Brunei and Laos. But beating Singapore will come a long first step and a huge stride into the last 4, because it's just Malaysia that they have to navigate around, the host nation. And that will happen on the final day of qualification and final match in Group A. Rishad Tardy was just a couple of minutes away from telling the team, hold tight, be strong. IKHSAN Fandi's taken over! What a brilliant strike! It rattled the nets. The Singapore supporters stood up and thought that was it. It came courtesy of a superb win by HAMI SYAHIN, and that's as pure as a strike as you'd get from the striker. The nets rattled, but it was behind the goal. It hit the stanchion. Singapore support just went up. But with IKHSAN, there is a way to goal. And there is a breakout here as well from HAMI SYAHIN yet again. Still HAMI SYAHIN decides to go all by himself. That one way off target, but at least they're taking a couple of chances already. A minute and a half gone by in the second half, and they've had as many chances and opportunities and shots as they did in the whole of the first half. So they're bearing their fangs now, Singapore. They're coming out and they're gunning for the equalizer, which is a good sign. As we were saying, Rishad Tardy's team talk should have been, was 2 minutes away from hang tight, keep yourselves compact, make sure that you're hard to beat, and don't make any silly mistakes. And now all of a sudden it's, let's just get this early goal and go back to that. The team have responded, and they've started the second half in more forward fashion, with more juice behind those heels of theirs than they did in the first, where it was just back foot all the way through. Well, the Myanmaris have been rattled a bit. At least they know that Singapore are not just going to lie down and allow them to just walk all over them in achieving that same 2-0 scoreline that Gert Sizer's team did at the Under-23 Championships. IKHSAN Fandi, 3 attempts at goal already. 1 on target, 1 off, and 1 blocked. Well, ball's found its way through. IKHSAN's trying to latch onto this. He does the better. Still IKHSAN. Straight at the goalkeeper. Needed to guard his near post. He did. He's got the verve, and he certainly has the hunger, as he's shown there in nipping the ball away from the challenge of KAUNG. Well, it's almost a solo rampage at the moment. HIKSAN almost getting personal with this Myanmar side and trying to open his own SEA Games account. Nicked it away brilliantly from THE AUNG. That's all the angle he had, and he got it on target. Forced the keeper into the save. And Hami Shine's getting more involved as well in the second half. It was just some sumptuous deliveries from him in the first, but not much as an offensive force, because he had a lot of defensive diligence in him in that first 45 minutes. Seen a lot more adventure from him in the second half. IRFAN steps in to intervene. Singapore on the front foot. MUHAIMIN prevents the ball from getting to the danger man, IKHSAN. The turn was a very good one by HAIQAL. Still HAIQAL. Got himself into trouble. Good enough defending by LWIN. Came and helped his teammate out. Defensive help was much needed at that time. Joshua Pereira, anywhere would do by RUSYAIDI. It was a very good ball in the end to find HAIQAL Paisha. Oh, he's had a good record of scoring at this level, HAIQAL Paisha, having scored at the AFF under-19s and AFC under-19s last year. Shot is on yet again, and just wide. Referee claims that goalkeeper NAING, who could have saved it. It was ILLYAS Lee venturing forward and doing something that he hardly does, which is take shots at goal. He's usually there just to protect the back line, more than a guardian angel, and I think he got a little lucky with a corner call. Great response by Singapore. Can they take full advantage of it? MUHAIMIN, lovely corner. Header though wasn't good enough. The counter-attack is on for Myanmar. Ong 2 is there. Poor touch in the end by Neng U. Singapore are still on it. Is slightly behind ILLYAS. Gets the ball back. ILLYAS. A pullback just behind HAIQAL. Keeps it alive. Wins the throw. Well, at least the class of 2017 is showing some spirit. Hami SYAHIN, yet again, the moment he got his head up, surrounded, couldn't play the ball out in time. LWIN could. And no nonsense at all from IRFAN, facing perhaps the danger man of these SEA Games in Ong 2. Nan Wai Min. ILLYAS turns well enough. It looks as if the shot's just given his confidence a real boost. Joshua is not the best of passes from Joshua, but they get away with it. Lang Bobo's challenge deemed a little too dangerous on Hami SYAHIN, who just gives Joshua a earful and says, you shouldn't have played the ball right back at me, because there are two surrounding me and there's three up fronts that could have played it to. Lang Bobo, every right to disagree with the referee, because he certainly got laced to ball. AMIRUL looking for HIKSAN. Another header on target, this time lacking the power to beat Satnang. Well, this is the peak of the Singapore performance thus far, and this is the period you feel they need to get their goal and get right back into this game. Still IKHSAN. IKHSAN wide yet again. They've all gone wide down the Myanmar goalkeeper's right. IKHSAN, ILLYAS and IKHSAN almost at that same corner. Singapore players begging for the goalpost to be extended and expanded a little bit more to find the back of the net. IRFAN taking the safety route instead of the pass back to ZHARFAN. The Myanmarese fans roaring for their players to come right back into this. It has been a sleepy start to this second half from them. They've asked for handball on the part of IRFAN. Tries to find his brother. Pass though, lacking in precision, but at least enough power to get it up front and clear the dangers away. He must be very pleased, Tardy, with the way his team have started in the second half. As I said, if they don't get a goal, it just gets Myanmar right back into this. The storm is brewing in KL. And it's a Singapore storm at the start of the second half, which the Myanmaris have weathered thus far after 10 minutes. Now the Myanmaris are quicker to the tackle. You could see them slowly getting right back into this right now. HAMI SYAHIN, superb close ball control. Clever enough ball to put it behind the defense, knowing that the pitch is going to hold it up, hoping that HAIQAL or IKHSAN can run onto that. The space is opened up, but it's well covered yet again by AMIRUL. His ball's gone out. The answer is no. Skill was almost good enough by C2ONG to keep ball. In the end, doesn't do it either way. Well, it's vociferous at the SALIME, and the roar is coming from the Myanmarese fans. It's almost a nervous roar at the moment with the way the opponents have started in the second half. Easy claim for the goalkeeper though, Satnang. You can hear from those roars that everything that it's picked up by the custodian is going to be cheered on. Kongman, how long will he last the course of this game? Patpang's already been asked to warm up. Maybe giving them another option up front instead of trying to go long. It's going to be a free kick. AMIRUL's done splendidly well in this match. Let's give credit where it's due. AMIRUL ADLI has just been a reassuring presence at the back for Singapore this afternoon. And that time, very, very brave and astute. It feels as if the gas has just been taken off Singapore from this early exploits in the second half. Will they see confidence from the start that they've had, or will the heads bow and drop a little, knowing that they have tried but still can't penetrate? Turn was pretty good by MUHAIMIN and wins a corner. THIHA, only player booked in this match, gives that away. IKHSAN lurking yet again. IRFAN slowly trotting his way in, making his presence felt in the box now. Is this going to be a belated birthday present for IKHSAN, IRFAN FANDI? IRFAN, IKHSAN. Blocked out. Blocked pretty well. AMIRUL had to pull the ball right back to his fullback in order to keep that alive. Tripped up on the ball. Good hustling in the end by HAMI SYAHIN to ensure that Myanmar don't make any more progress from that counter-attack. Oh, they've never drawn in a football match at under 23 level in the SEA Games, Myanmar and Singapore. And at the moment, if it's going to be the first ever draw, I'm sure Rishad Tadi is going to shake your hand right now and take it. But despite their countless efforts in the second half and their endeavors, they haven't been able to find anything past this Myanmarese backline. Another cross comes in, not the most convincing of clearances by IRFAN, but it does find its way out to HAIQAL. Call came in very late for HAMI SYAHIN. There was a man on in Bobo. Lang Bobo started every match of the last SEA Games in 2015. Such an important cog in this Myanmarese wheel. And coach has said it himself. Without his combative designs in the middle of the park to protect the defense, they wouldn't be able to play the sort of pressure football that's the German coach so requires. KAUNG just playing it into space. It's covered well enough by SYAHRUL, but that's all that was. Just an interception more than anything else. And the Myanmar getting yards in terms of their throw-ins. Closing in on the hour mark. Still Myanmar lead by that AUNG 2 goal scored late in the first half against a rampaging Singapore side in the second half, who have made their offensive presence felt but haven't benefited yet from the clutch of chances that they've created. They haven't been really clear-cut, to be honest. LWIN, that's a second goal. And that's your sucker punch. And it's a second for AUNG 2. Surely now they can rest easy. AUNG 2 becomes the first Myanmarese to score 2 in a game against Singapore at the SEA Games since LWIN in 1997. And this was all the work of LWIN. Too easy, the way he wriggled clear of HEIQAL Paisha. And everybody had gone out to cover what was in the penalty box instead of the byline. And the moment he had a free run at it, all he had to do was to pick a player out. There was only one to find in the box, the one that mattered. AUNG 2. 2 for Myanmar, 2 for AUNG 2. And every time Myanmar have scored 2 against Singapore at under 23 level, they have gone on to win. So the young Lions might just rue the chances that they created and failed to capitalize on. MUHAIMIN, still MUHAIMIN. Deflection was wicked enough and gave enough time for MUHAIMIN to clear. LWIN, the architect of the second goal, this time prevents HEIQAL, whom he almost embarrassed on its way to creating the chance for AUNG 2. Another battle won for the number 11 on the Singapore number 12. 1-2. Myanmar have got bodies in the box. Happy to delay the cross and build some cadence in this next wave of attack. All with that little downpour, pitch is slick enough to play those neat 1-2s, which the Myanmaris are so good at doing. ZHARFAN, ROHAIZAD, next to nothing to do in the second half, and all of a sudden he's picking the ball from the back of his net. And talk about being rattled, it's the Singapore team that are feeling that way now. LWIN receives the ball back, single-handedly just clawing Myanmar right back into the game. There are bodies, enough bodies there to create danger for Singapore. Thankfully enough, Ongtu's touch was a stretching one, didn't get enough meat behind that ball. Otherwise, RUSYAIDI was struggling against two Myanmar forwards staring down at his neck and right down the barrel of the Singapore gun. That should be offside if he decides to get involved with it. It is offside. Situong. Clear offside. Defensive line stepped up enough, and he was actually being screamed at, the captain, by his left fullback HEIN to let the ball run. Didn't heed the calls. The decision has gone against him. Well, Singapore have some options on the bench if they're interested in calling upon. The likes of Taufik Suparno, who does know the way to go, has got pace to burn. Might be about time that IKHSAN has a fellow striker to play with. Instead it's Myanmar who makes the next substitution, and it's Yin Tun. Oh, come on, for a very quiet Yan Neng O. More defensive midfielder for an offensive one. Well, the lines were all crossed then between right winger and right back for Singapore. MUHAIMIN told to just keep the ball longer. I'm sure the coach would have been rather displeased with that pass up front, although spared the blushes and perhaps a barrage from his coach. Irfan's pass out to SUHAIMI takes the place of Joshua Pereira. So the pair of brothers are on the pitch for Singapore. The FANDI brothers and the SUHAIMI brothers. Can MUHAIMIN do something about their scoreline? Can they create more chances for the likes of IKHSAN and HAMI up front? It's a poor ball played by Bobo. Very uncharacteristic from the Myanmarese number 7. So too from the Singapore number 17, IRFAN. Pass just seized upon so very quickly by THIHA. Muhaimi's first touch is to help it on to HAMI. He is very brave on the ball, isn't he? HAMI, IKHSAN. Now Muhaimin. IKHSAN's gone sprinting into the box. ROHAIZAD's gone outside, used as a decoy momentarily. ROHAIZAD now hangs it up. IKHSAN! Spectacular! Couldn't keep it down. Well, the moment the ball was hung up, you could see him shaping to do that, and he was all set and ready for one of those special SEA Games goals. It's almost as if he's saying, I've had a couple of headers on target already. She didn't have enough sugar behind the ball for me to get any sort of power behind the hitter. Let me generate my own power. Well, that's acrobatic bicycle kick. It had a lot of power, not the accuracy though. Handball. Singapore spared. AUNG wanted the ball played down the line. Instead it went inside. Wanted that extra pass before it found C2. Touch wasn't a very good one by HAIQAL. Quickly taken away from MUHAIMIN. They do have the option of Hanafi Akbar as well. Another speedster up front. IKHSAN has been dragged out of the penalty box. If the result stays this way, it'll be Myanmar's first clean sheet against Singapore since 2003 when they won by 2-0. Their 5th ever clean sheet against Singapore through the years. Oh, it should have played on, the referee. Should have played on. Richard Tardy is first to let him know about it because Singapore were breaking clear and breaking out of it. Strong work by Muhaimi. It certainly was a foul then, and the referee should have looked up to see what was going on. Tan Peng, as we expected, to come on for Kong Man, who has been pretty quiet in this game. Tan Peng is a player who'll always be remembered for scoring the goal that sent Myanmar to the Under-20 World Cup. He got the winning goal in the quarterfinals against the UAE and the Under-19 qualifiers that got them there. And he was the first choice strike partner to Ong Tu at those Under-20 World Cups and in the qualifiers too. Referee this time decides to play on. Tan Peng's first touch is to take it down expertly. C2-ong, still C2-ong. Support coming. Does he need them? The answer is no. Goal kick was a very good one by ZHARFAN. Muhaimi yet again taking another strong challenge, this time coming in from MUHAIMIN. HAMI delays the release of the ball, finally decides to find ROHAIZAD. Outside of him is MUHAIMIN. The cross is a very good one. Goalkeeper had to make the save from IKHSAN. Just a little too high perhaps for the hitman, who was onside. Might he have left it for HAIQAL? He certainly had the call from the number 12. He went for goal all by himself. It was going wide, but the goalkeeper took no chances. Corner for Singapore. Are they going to mount one of those incredible comebacks that'll give them the impetus to take for the rest of the tournament? Momentum. It's hung up long enough, but it's cleared. Muhaimi always going wide. 17 minutes left to claw back from this 2-goal deficit. Myanmar certainly have been in a football game and have been in a battle in the second half. IRFAN wins that one with another majestic header. IKHSAN, the only one in the box. Cross lacked elevation. IRFAN trying to keep it alive for his brother. No free kick, says the referee. Strong enough, that challenge from ILLYAS. HEIQAL. ILLYAS all the way back to MUHAIMIN. His own brother. MUHAIMIN's making the dart outside, hoping to create the option. RUSYAIDI trying to attack this. Oh, when he heard the whistle, he was hopeful, because there was contact on his foot by usually very ill-disciplined THIHA. Both going after the ball. Oh, well, some referees might have given it. At most, no foul, but it's gone the way of the Myanmaris. Well, this certainly puts Singapore behind the 8 ball in the football tournament. And such is a football tournament that a lot of teams might be thinking of booking a flight home, while the rest of their countrymen are just arriving for the games. It's the nature of the sport, starting early. And it happens not just in the SEA Games, but every major tournament these days. Elias Lee will be the first Singaporean booked in this match for that little drag back on Myanmar's best player in the second half, LWIN. Coming to the SEA Games, he scored 2 goals in his last 2 matches for his club side, Hatharawadi, in the Myanmar National League. So we all know he was the player in form. And he almost scored a goal in that first half, hitting the crossbar. Made amends by making the second. Are they going to get a third here, Myanmar? This surely would be game over. Wall did its job. And the counter-attack is on. It's almost a 4-on-4 break now. Can Singapore take full advantage of this? RUSYAIDI's held onto the ball long enough. IKHSAN attacks yet again. This time it does break to HAMI. Oh, except for IKHSAN, no one was trying to bust a hamstring in order to get into the penalty box and gamble on that. MUHAIMIN. SYAHRUL. HEIQAL dancing his way around a couple of challenges. Here is HAMI SYAHIN. Trying to go all by himself. He shaped it up. Wanted to take the shot the moment the ball got into his feet. Was IKHSAN. This time it fell to HAMI, and look, except for IKHSAN, who was lurking around, no one busted a gut and all tried to get into the penalty box and gambled on it. MUHAIMIN will be sacrificed. Taufik Suparno, highly impressive player who's already got 2 goals this season for the Young Lions, comes on. He's a player who has got pace and knows the way to go. He's taken up the right-hand flank, the right winger's position. That's vacated by MUHAIMIN. He wants the ball played in behind the defense as soon as possible. HAIMI's got the ball now. ILLYAS giving Taufik his first touch of the game. Is he brave enough to take them on? Here is Taufik Suparno. Still Taufik. Just couldn't carve out an angle for the cross. Strong challenges flying in, and it needed to be from AMIRUL. Exquisite touch yet again by IKHSAN, not so by MUHAIMIN. IRFAN with time on the ball. Singapore with no time on the clock. Running out. RUSYAIDI. HAMI. Oh, in a game where he has impressed with his deliveries. That was the worst time to send in your worst delivery of the day. Little more than 10 minutes remaining. Myanmar leading by 2, but not exactly comfortable. Singapore have certainly turned up the pressure cooker in the second half. If only they started this way in the first, where it was a very nervous opening half an hour. In fact, that bled right through to the first half. That Myanmarese goal scored very late in the half just woke them up out of their slumber in the second. Very good work once again by AMIRUL ADLI, justifying the coach's faith in putting him ahead of side captain Sharin Sabrin. MUHAIMIN got himself into trouble, and RUSYAIDI couldn't get the ball off his feet. Just stuck underneath it. A lot of it was down to incessant pressure was being put upon them by Tan Peng. Hein Tiazo. Not the best of touches from Tan Peng, but he got away with it. C2 happy to go all the way back to KAUNG. MUHAIMIN. No nonsense from SYAHRUL. He knew if that Boots didn't come in and didn't put his laces through the ball, there might be a break away from MUHAIMIN, so he had to be decisive, and he was. Very strong challenge by IRFAN FANDI. A very important one as well on Tan Peng. I think it's his left knee that took the brunt of the challenge and the studs of Tan Peng. It doesn't get any easier for Singapore. The host country, Malaysia, next Wednesday evening. Oh, they've switched off. The Singapore centre backs, the Singapore defensive line, suffering from a case of disease. And Tan Peng almost took full advantage of it. ZHARFAN's taking the goal kick quickly enough to find RUSYAIDI. Needs a lot more movement off the ball though. I think their efforts in trying to get right back into the match have taken its toll on the Singapore side, although the ball's broken fortuitously clear now. HEIQAL. Cross way too high for IKHSAN. Was hoping for Taufik Suparno to appear in time in the penalty box. RUSYAIDI's done well to win this one and hang it up in the box for IKHSAN. He has tried, IKHSAN FANDI. It's a thankless task what he's doing, being the lone striker with very little or no support. What a leap that one was, though, where he just hung in the air forever. It's as if he was born with trampolines. It's going to be a free kick for Singapore. Seeking a good delivery in the box now, perhaps. Surely they're going to launch this one to the likes of the winner of that free kick, IKHSAN. AMIRUL adding the extra height, just joining in to the bottom of your screen. So to ILLYAS, the number 6. HAMI SYAHIN yet again. The man behind the free kick. Much better one this time, although it was behind. And that wasn't the finish required from AMIRUL. Or was it ILLYAS? Neither a flick on nor an attempted goal. It was ILLYAS. Got it all wrong. Taufik Suparno. Anywhere would do for AMIRUL. Hoping that clearance down the line can work into something. It's AUNG, who has probably been the best defender for Myanmar throughout this match. Now, he is the antithesis, isn't it, of Myanmarese defenders through the years. They don't come in big sizes. Forwards do, but not their central defenders. But boy, is he powerfully built and hard to shake off. Tiazor. Bobo. Yintun. MUHAIMIN. LWIN. IRFAN. We need to get a goal. Punt from IRFAN. Well, they do sometimes push him up front. IRFAN FANDI. He started off, of course, as a striker. And a very good one at that, in bullying opponents. The last 2 years has really plied his trade with a heart of defense at centre back. But every once in a while might require him to provide that extra strength in the air. Maybe a little recall of his instincts as a striker from his younger days. Not so this time, as AMIRUL is all set and ready to come on. Last throw of the dice for Richard Tardy. And the man who plays for Home United, who really has been quite impressive playing for them this year, is brought on. Out and out striker, taking the place of an attacking midfielder who has asked HAMI SYAHIN to take the role that Adam Swandi usually does for the team, and has performed admirably. IKHSAN's pass back, cut out. ILLYAS caught dwelling a little too long. There's space opening up on the far side because Singapore have a fullback. It's getting slow and coming back. Ongtu's shot though Too straight at the goalkeeper. AMIRUL. First piece of action is to win a throw. They don't have the players to take the one long inside the box. HEIQAL. Oh, that's a lovely ball played inside. It should have been a goal at least. AMIRUL's first contribution in the match should have been to pull one right back. He totally mistimed it and miscued it. That was the best chance Singapore have had in this game. It's coming right back though. AMIRUL. It's not going to hide from this. And it's good work from him, not giving up on that chase and winning that throw. A minute remaining plus whatever time the referee wants to add. A goal there from AMIRUL would have really jangled the nerves of the Myanmar supporters and the bench. How did he conspire to miss that ball completely? You'll never know. Here's AMIRUL. Singapore have got to get out of this cul-de-sac and try to swing across in. It does break for IKHSAN. Good storming challenge from MUHAIMIN. Tan Pang, measured that one superbly well. Just slightly ahead of Tan Pang. Couldn't find its way to the other substitute. Yin Tun, LWIN, happy to eat up the seconds. Still LWIN! That would have been some team goal from Myanmar. Fancy football of the highest order from a team really riding on their highs of this 2-goal lead. 4 extra minutes. And Myanmar will throw on their final substitution, which is Mong So. Coming on for Lang Bobo, a player of similar ilk. Mong So protecting the defense, making sure that all sorts of creativity in the Singapore midfield snuffed out. Although you feel that Singapore are almost going route one from here on. They have to. Taufik Suparno evades one challenge, taking forever. Well, he's looked for a little nutmeg. He's taking forever to swing the ball across because he certainly had no angle for it. Well, I have to watch with their challenges now. Taufik Suparno totally bullied off the ball and shoved off it. They've asked for a penalty. The referee, who was just a couple of yards away from it, says Yin Tun did nothing wrong and nothing illegal with that. They're almost helping Myanmar here by keeping the ball on the touchline, and they win a corner from it. They've had some dangerous balls swung in. Just haven't been able to take advantage of it. Myanmar have done well enough. Goalkeeper has come and claimed whenever the defense has stood stoutly in front, and the defenders have prevented the runs from IRFAN. That time they couldn't prevent the climb from the captain. He couldn't prevent it from going further airborne. Surely now. The Singapore attack and threat diffused. Myanmar will keep their first clean sheet at the SEA Games. since 2013. Their first clean sheet in 9 matches. They might even score a third here. It is offside. Myanmar get the start they require and beat Singapore by 2 goals to nil. The first of it scored at the end of the first half after a fortuitous deflection from a shot by Leng Bobo. Then Singapore came out storming in the second half, showing great character and coming back. Efforts from ILLYAS, IKHSAN, FANDI, HAMI, SYAHRUL going to waste before the sucker punch hit. And after some good work by LWIN, who had hit the post in the first half, it was AUNG 2 at the end of it, scoring Myanmar's 65th goal in under-23 competition at the SEA Games. It's the first time they've kept a clean sheet against Singapore since 2003, where they also won by 2 goals to nil. And it's the perfect start for the team that won a silver medal at the last Games against a Singapore side looking for redemption and now looking ahead to Malaysia, knowing that they need to get something out of that game, maybe even a win against the host nation. Final score from the SALIME Stadium: Myanmar 2, Singapore 0.
firstly, I want to say I give a big thumbs up to my players, my teammates. You see, they came out, they gave the 110%. But in those small moments in the game, I think we slept, and that's where they punished us. As you can see, in the second half, we were attacking most of the time. We missed a few good chances, but I know the boys will come back stronger. It was a good game against Myanmar. Myanmar's a strong team, so we knew we had to go really hard today. Congratulations to Myanmar, but I think our boys deserve it. So next game, we have to come back stronger.
Hai coach. Okey, boleh ready sekarang? Okay, basically I'm asking you how do you look your team for this match, and then second, what's your planning for the next match, then about your score outcome. It's a good day today. Alright. Okay, anytime
Hanya kau tahu kekuatan kau.
Okay coach, congrats, it's a good game. How do you look your team for this match?
Kau rasa kau dah menang?